YouTube, it's Tone back with another one for you. Now, this one, we're gonna call this public notice. This is a PDF that I found online, and apparently it looks like it's shared or written by some dude named Taj Tariq Bey. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. Maybe he wasn't even the one that wrote this, who knows, but that's the name that's on this, so I'm gonna give that credit where it's due. A lot of awesome information in here you can go ahead and look up. It's got all the site links, the citations. So here we go. So public notice. So all natural people and state citizens should be cognizant about and aware of these facts that are the following that the following are laws. Rules and issues applicable in North America via the United States. So what they're talking about via the United States, they're talking about the corporation, not the actual landmass of America. So the following documented information and facts should be read and analyzed, conjoined with the knowledge and conditions that the reader is deemed conscious and cognate of the lawful distinctions made between constitutionally and sanctioned government. Constitutionally sanctioned laws, constitutionally sanctioned governmental departments, constitutionally sanctioned governmental offices / officers, constitutionally sanctioned entities, be it the corporate structures, and about constitutionally sanctioned rules, etc., etc. So treaty and constitutional laws and rules should always be measured and held as valid and established versus those post facto laws, rules and policies and or activities which are unlawful de facto, being unconstitutional and unlawful in character, law, jurisprudence, history, political acts, and legislative policies are always to be measured by the supreme law of the land, be it the treaties and constitutions. This is known as established law. All past and or present laws or rules and social political concepts shall always be diligently examined for veracity and the right necessary and de jure corrections are always to be diligently observed, enforced, and preserved. Proper concepts and corrections in government are always in order. Elementary civics. So this would be like a entry level. So observe, analyze, consider, and critique the following and respect your own obvious common sense reasoning and conclusion. I'm going to start too by saying I don't know if any of this shit is true. I'm just reading it off a PDF. You figure it out for yourself. But these are all things that I think should be, that everybody should be notified of. Okay, so 1. The Internal Revenue Service, IRS, is not a constitutionally sanctioned United States Republic government agency. The IRS is an agency of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. And that shit goes too for the Treasury Department and all that too as well, which I think is pretty much hand in hand. They're one and the same. So C, Diversified Metal Products versus IRS, and so these are the case law sites that you can go ahead and look up. So number 2, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, is an agency of the United Nations, the UN. So see Black's Law Dictionary, Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, 6th edition, page 816. Hang on, let me write this slide down so we don't get lost. So number 3, the United States has not had a treasury since 1921 AD. See chapter 41, statute 214, page 654. In what book? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows in what book, but that's what he's got listed there. So number 4, the United States Treasury is now the IMF, International Monetary Fund. So see here, it says Presidential Documents, Volume 24, number 4, page 113. The United States does not have any employees because they are no longer a legitimate United States. And they've reorganized more times than I think any other corporation known to fucking history. You know what I'm saying? It's just that the reorganizations that the United States pull are usually done so sneakily that you wouldn't even notice if you're not paying mind to the fine detail that will be in the names that they choose, or their EINs changing and things like that too. So no more reorganizations after 200 years of bankruptcy. It is finally over and dissolved. See Executive Order 12803. And I did look that up too as well. And this is when they pretty much privatized everything and sold America off to the highest bidder. So pretty much whoever's willing to pay the most gets to control the fucking game over here. That's how that works. So the FCC, the CIA, the FBI, NASA, and all other alphabet agencies and gangs were never a lawful part of the United States government, even though the United States government, through its trustees or representatives, held stock in these foreign agencies. See United States versus Strang, U.S. 491, Lewis versus U.S. 680. So Social Security numbers are issued by the United Nations through the IMF, International Monetary Fund. The application for Social Security numbers is the SS5 form. The Department of the Treasury / IMF issues the SS5 forms, not the Social Security Administration. The new SS5 forms do not state who publishes them, while the old forms state they are from the Department of the Treasury. So see 20 CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, Chapter 111, Subpart B. So there are no lawful judicial courts operating under the jurisdiction of the United States Corporation doing business at North America. Lawful courts have not been in existence since 1789. Article 3 judges do not enforce state statutes and codes. Executive administrators enforce statutes and codes. And so this is something big to keep in mind too, is that, you know, whenever you see one of these judges or whatever they want to call themselves, they're simply administrating the public trust, and they're supposed to be operating for your benefit on your behalf. So there have not been any lawful judges within the jurisdiction of the United States Corporation doing business at North America since 1789. There have just been administrators, right? And I would hope that they fucking know that, but it doesn't seem like they know that unless they're just playing their little game to the T in order to be able to utilize the whole plausible deniability concept. If I had to imagine, that's what the case is. But who really knows? I mean, they could really just be that fucking stupid, but I do doubt it. So according to GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, you must have a Social Security number. This is the House Report 103-926. So that's something else to keep in mind. You know, and a good way to get away from using your social directly is gonna be creating an EIN through the IRS website portal, and you can go ahead and then just start using your EIN instead of your social, which obviously it's still tied to, but it'll pull you away from that, because then you don't have to give your Social Security number to anybody who's asking you for it, because a lot of times when you give them your social and you sign that piece of paper, basically what you're doing, you're assigning them to be your trustee, and it doesn't say when that contract ends. So, you know, as far as you know, the first job you ever had is still fucking using the social to write shit off. You know what I mean? But how would you know? Unless you sue them, right? So, the Social Security check comes directly from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, which is an agency of the United Nations. So see, Social Security check states U.S. Department of Treasury at top left corner, which again is a part of the UN, United Nations. So you own no property under the U.S. democracy. Slaves cannot own property. Read carefully the deed assigned to the property that you have been duped into thinking is yours. You will note that you have been listed as a tenant on that misrepresented document. Now right here he's talking about your mortgage documents, when at closing the whole account was literally closed, and that's why it's called closing. And then they went ahead and had the next papers be the ones that allowed you or put yourself in a position to have to pay mortgages, and the mortgages that they're charging you are basically just the taxes that the bank should be paying on the investment contract that you entered into after closing, when your contract was closed and the house was yours, free and clear. And then you went ahead and gifted it to them and entered into an investment contract. at which point they sold your promissory note off, I'm pretty sure within a couple of days. And once the structure of that particular note changed into a marketable security and got pulled in with a bunch of other mortgages, they no longer are the holder in due course, and every bill that you've gotten from them since, be it monthly, is a brand new offer, right? And you've accepted them however many times you have. So 15. The most powerful court in the United States of America is not the United States Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Okay. So 16. The King of England financially backed both sides of the conflict in the American Revolutionary War. So you see what that is. It's that when people start to build strong ties and come together as a people, they go ahead and they start a war and they cause more division for the simple fact of divide and conquer. Very simple tactics that they're using on very simple-minded people over here. 17. You cannot use the United States Constitution to defend yourself because you are not a party to it. And that's another good point to make, because when you go into court and you start barking about your fucking constitutional rights that you don't even have, they already know they're gonna fucking trample you and you're gonna get crazy and they're gonna hold you in contempt and fucking throw you in jail because you think you fucking know what you're talking about when you don't. So don't go in there unless you really know what you're talking about. And if you haven't even read the Constitution, don't even bother going in there saying that crazy shit. You know, it would fit you better to go in there maybe speaking about the state constitution if you were going to talk about one, and then maybe you want to have a contract showing that you're even a party to that. You know what I mean? Otherwise, what is it that you're even talking about? So America is the name of a major continent among the 7 recognized continents. The United States Corporation is doing business at North America, and it is a British colony. The United States is a corporation. It is not a landmass on America. It existed before the Revolutionary War, and the British troops did not leave North America until the year 1796. Now, so that's another one right there that I'm sure a lot of people didn't know. And then when they left, they just fucking came back as bankers and fucking rocked everybody anyway. They turned it into a big game of Monopoly, which can be verified by simply looking at U.S. currency next to Monopoly money, and you're gonna see that it is literally a life-size game of fucking Monopoly, which is an awesome game. It just sucks if you don't fucking know you're playing the game, but you are. So 19. Britain is owned by the Vatican, being the popes of Rome. See the Treaty of 1213. 20. The Pope of America can abolish any law in the United States because the Vatican owns the United States. See elements of ecclesiastical. Well, that was a fucking tough one. Elements of Ecclesiastical Law, Volume 1, 53 through 54. 21. The United States is not a country, it is a corporation. Vatican, Crown, Empire, and associated documents. And it certainly is a corporation. So the 1040 form issued to the people by the agents of the IRS is for a tribute paid to Britain. See Internal Revenue Service Publication 6209. Now that's something you probably didn't know either, huh? So you're basically gifting whatever you put on that documentation. So it might be smart for you to maybe operate as a business and fucking write everything off so you can bring your tax liability down to 0. That's on top of the fact that maybe you can learn how to create money orders and just fucking offset the goddamn bill to begin with. You don't gotta pay out of your own pocket. That's just retarded. So 23. The Pope of Rome claims to own the entire planet Earth via the laws of conquest and discovery. See Papal Bulls of 1495 and 1493. The Pope of Rome has ordered the genocide of and the enslavement of millions of people. See Papal Bulls of 1455 and 1493. 25. The people of the planet Earth are held as slaves by the Pope of Rome, the Vatican, and arbitrarily declared to own absolutely nothing, not even the offspring that we produce, being our children. And it's got different citations here for you to check out as well. So 26, the bullah's rule and laws of popes and Romes are held as being obligatory on everyone. So, these are people who enter into a religion, but you may know some Christians, whatever you want to, and many of the others, that think that because they believe something that fucking everybody else is supposed to as well. And that must have been, I think, the easiest form of divide and conquer, was just fucking getting the religion into the doors of everybody's houses, because it literally divides people even down to the fucking family level, that fucking religion. So that was very well played. Very well played. So the military dictator George Washington divided up the estates, quote unquote states, and formed them into districts. When you look at the word estates, when you take the E off, it says states. So that's really what's going on here when you see all these police officers and they call themselves state police, but you live in a commonwealth. What the fuck are state police doing in a commonwealth? Really doesn't even add up. But you see what it is here. They're policy enforcers for the estate, also known as the state of. Okay? So 28. The military dictator George Washington was not the first president of the United States. He was the 9th president of the United States. See the records of the Continental Congress, 1781 to 1789. 29. The commonly stated political phrase, the people, does not include, nor does it refer to you and me. So it doesn't make reference to you guys at all. So 30. Everything within the jurisdiction of the United States is for sale. The bridges, the roads, the water, the schools, the hospitals, the prisons, the airports, the lakes, etc. See Hubot Klamath Lake, located in Oregon. Executive Order 12803. So 31. Special notice. It is not the duty of the police to protect you. The job of that private fraternal order is to protect the corporation and to arrest the code breakers. And that's what I was just telling you. That's why you're going to see state police in the Commonwealth. Alright? Because they're basically police. The word police could also be looked at as policy. And this is what they're doing. They're enforcing policies via codes and statutes, which are all commercial in nature. So 32. We, the natural people, are arbitrarily held as human capital. Well, alright. 33. The owners and investors of the United Nations financed the operations of the United States government for over 50 years. The United States Department of Treasury is part of the United Nations. As referred to above, the owners/investors claims via the Vatican and the alleged debt to own every man, woman, and child in America. Now, some things to keep in mind is that, these people can only have jurisdiction over the things that they create. So whenever you end up in court and they're talking, to what you think is you, or they're making reference to your children, which are actually your property that they did not create, the only jurisdiction that they have things over is the paperwork that is pertaining to your property, not the actual property itself. So keep that in mind. So 34, the owners/investors of the United States arbitrarily hold that the land of America is held by them in fee simple. And there's a little link here down at the bottom too. So the discomforting reality and facts are that we, the natural people of the land, do not have to fulfill the alleged and fictitiously constructed obligations imposed by the Vatican, the Pope, and the owners, investors of the United Nations, and the associated members of the Roman Curia and the British accredited registry, also known as the bar, members of the de facto Congress, etc. You can rightfully discharge any and all fictitiously implied obligations with another's fictitious obligation. You know what I mean? So everybody's just here talking a lot of fake shit. And so the reality of it is this: is that so they're pulling some fictitious debt out of their ass, pretending that you somehow have an obligation to fucking entertain that, and then you just go ahead and pass them some monopoly money to go ahead and close that account, and everybody's happy. Stupidest shit I ever heard of. So, the noted documents, information, and statements presented by the de jure versus the de facto governments about foreign corporate entities, about law and about history, about valid or invalid contractual obligations are established and provable facts. None of the above stated facts are secrets. These presentments are available to all and are a matter of the public record. And so this is the reason why they're able to do that, is because they literally have all this shit out for public view, which means that they put you on notice and you didn't have an issue with it and you played along. So therefore, they're going to go ahead and do what they want because they already told you what they were going to do. And you didn't do anything. You sat back and you hoped that somebody else would do something for you so you could live in your comfort. And and just slowly but surely they fucking crawled their way over to your fucking door, as you just saw with the COVID and all that bullshit that just went down, right? And I always said, everybody's not gonna think that they have to do anything until this shit hits their fucking front door, and I bet a lot of you thought that would never happen, but it did. So be honorable and responsible to yourselves and to the integrity and the honor of the truth. Demonstrate a sincere sense of love and respect for your families and kin, and particularly for your offspring or your seed. Take due diligence and time, use the application of knowledge, and place the interest needed and necessary to help uplift fallen humanity. Make a sincere effort to research, to analyze, and to critique, and to diligently study this information. Also, study the relative and simple words such as element, person, citizens, people, or, nation, crime, charge, right, corporation, statute, preferred, deemed, prefer, constituer, creditor, debtor, debit, discharge, set off, mortgage, fee, payment, law, and the United States. And those are all separate words that you probably want to go look up in Black's Law Dictionary. Most of the true meanings of these four words have been taught to the natural people, groomed and molded under Frederick T. Gates and John D. Rockefeller, Occidental controlled school systems. And so this is what they did. So they gave us different dictionaries to study and think that we know what the words mean. And then you go into court hearing something that you think sounds like English, but it's really legalese. And the dictionary that they use to create those codes and statutes are different dictionaries than they gave us to study in school. So when these people realized that they didn't have power to change the laws, because they fucking don't, all they did was change the definitions and therefore change the fucking law. You see how that goes? So as established at North America, many words do not mean what they are often told that they mean. Remember to apply your basic elementary etymology knowledge and skills. Remember that by deliberated design, the common people were never taught the true nature, denotated truths, and meaning of words. Let this brief exercise of studies be an inspiration to you, and have it become a useful source of information in your efforts to self-educate and to facilitate erudition. Invest in yourselves time, reading, and effort by getting off the established merry-go-round of propagated dogma and ignorance. Begin, if you have not, the great journey towards self-liberation from deception and mental servitude. Then, many more among us will be more competent to talk about the truths, reality, civics, economic freedom, and justice, etc. The presently dominant social, political, economical, and delusional de facto government concepts, as rooted in fraud, will begin to fade in the face of knowledge. Many of these and other frauds and illusions have been created and promoted by the titled yet less than honorable persons via multiple agencies. Research and study for yourselves and verify the foregoing and other facts and issues affecting your lives and the lives of those that you care about and love. And so again, here at the bottom, you have that dude's name, Taj Tariq Bey. And so this was a good little PDF, which I think is fucking awesome. And so these are some of the things that I think a lot of people just don't know because they're not really commonly spoke about. And, you know, and these aren't really conversations that you can just have with anyone because a lot of people are so fucking brainwashed and petrified and scared to fucking death that they don't even dare have any of these conversations because they think they're going to end up in jail or some shit like that. So, you know, if that's all it takes to keep you fucking behaving like a slave, then by all means. But listen, you're doing it to your fucking self. Alright? So anyway, it is a game of chess. Stop playing checkers with these clowns. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.